don't need 20 friends. You just need 3 motherfuckers who can take over a country. Okay, that's what we're confused as Americans. We need all these motherfuckers. You give me 3 bad motherfuckers, you're finished. You understand me?
You're fucking finished.
Because we got each other. And you know, listen, man.
Look alive.
Hiya!
Mono Matters, we back in the building.
Yes, sir.
How y'all been, good people? Oh, man. It is sweltering outside here in New Jersey. The humidity is on a level 100. Not only we've been dealing with the Canada wildfires and the fucking haze that has been.
It's been summer. You know, I've gotten used to going outside and being like, no, it's not that hot. But over the past couple of days, you know, you start building up that ball sweat.
I'd rather it be 105. No humidity.
Yeah.
They be dealing with this shit.
Oh, that 80.
This is definitely putting the Manscaped to test.
Bruh.
You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
And we could definitely use that Manscaped
Shout out, Manscaped.
sponsorship.
By the way, yes.
We could definitely use that. I need one of them lawnmowers 2.0s ASAP.
I got the 3.0.
You got a fucking 3.0?
I do.
You son of a fucking biscuit. Alright, okay. Touche salesman. But for our loyal listeners, welcome back to the Mono Matters podcast, where we talk about love, sex, dating, regular life shit. Just 2 guys trying to save the world, one of those topics at a time.
Yeah.
And we like to use movies and TV shows as the examination piece for conversations about real world advice that we can give, that we can apply to our dating and love lives.
Right.
So if you tune into any other episodes in the past, we've done movies like
Yes, man.
Sure,
Man, thinking about my life.
Brown Sugar.
Brown sugar.
I love that one.
Brown sugar.
So today we're going to be reviewing and talking about The Perfect Find, starring Gabrielle Union and Keith Powers. It's on Netflix right now.
It's a Netflix original.
Everybody's got a Netflix account. If you don't, I'm pretty sure you borrow somebody else's.
And if you borrow somebody else's, then you might be shit out of luck because you know Netflix can crack it down on that.
Netflix hit my ass with some shit this morning while I was watching the show, and then it went off. They was like, "Can you please verify your home Wi-Fi?" And I'm like, "Whoa, what the hell is going on here?"
Yeah.
That shit threw me for a loop. So yeah, Netflix is definitely cracking down on the password sharing, and it's definitely in full effect right now. But unless they have not gotten to you or whatever, make sure you get yourself a Netflix subscription. Hopefully you can check out the movie or had checked out the movie before we talk about it. But if not, enjoy the conversation and go back and check the movie out. After this episode, you can kind of see exactly what we're talking about. But the movie stars Gabrielle Union and Keith Powers. As we said before, it's about a 40-year-old fashion editor who is kind of going through a little bit of a transition in her life. Just got out of a 10-year relationship.
Oh, man.
And she's back at home living with her parents. And mom's like, "You gotta get the hell up out of here."
Oh, man.
So she moves back to New York, takes a job at a fashion magazine, and starts a in love affair with the boss's son, who is 20 years her senior.
So I know we're not going to jump into the movie directly now, but
No.
did you manage to see who played Gabrielle Union's mom in this movie?
The old.
There is no old. Say it right. If you're going to say it, say it.
How else am I going to say it?
Aunt Viv.
Yeah, the original. Aunt
No.
Viv.
No. Aunt Viv.
The only Aunt Viv?
Yeah, because I didn't call the other Aunt Viv Aunt Viv. I called her Vivian.
Well, I don't know. I like the second Aunt Viv. If I'm being completely honest. So.
And that's what
I'm not gonna boo. I'm not gonna poo poo on the second coming.
I am. But it's okay.
But yeah, the original Aunt Viv is playing Gabrielle Union's mother in this movie. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna break down their relationship. There's a couple scenes in the movie that we feel deserve some definite conversation. If you've seen the movie, I think you know exactly what scenes we are talking about.
And if you don't, We damn sure gonna tell you what scenes you should be paying attention to.
So we're gonna have a talk about age gap in relationships. We're gonna talk about chemistry. We're gonna talk about discretion. We're gonna talk about how to handle big news as far as somebody coming out saying, "Hey, I'm pregnant."
Yeah.
Yeesh.
We're also gonna touch on moving too fast. That's definite. We're gonna dance around that topic.
For sure. But as we say on every episode, this is not a dry show. We cannot have these conversations sober.
Not at all.
So, today on our menu, we are drinking a Kentucky classic, Knob Creek. We got the 9-year-old bourbon whiskey. This right here is fond to my heart. I actually got this bottle from my wife's grandmother, who had this at her crib. Anytime that I come down to visit her, that I can partake in some Knob Creek, because I was not drinking the stuff that they was drinking, because I did not get into any thought juice at all. That's not saying nothing about my grandmother-in-law at all, but I like the chillax.
What do you consider thought juice here?
I consider thought juice anything that makes you forget what your values are in life and just makes you just go down a path of unrighteousness. This puts me exactly where I need to be, which is a man who can enjoy his drink but still protect his family with a conscious mind. If I'm drinking some shit that makes me forget that if somebody busts in this fucking apartment right now, that I have to defend the people, then I can't be drinking that. So,
Okay. I got you.
So we got the Knob Creek, the 9-year-old bourbon whiskey. Time to say cheers, and we hope that if you're listening to the show, that you'll get your glass or your blunt ready as well. So, cheers.
That was a very loud cheers from the broken glass, but it's fine.
I like it.
We're gonna roll with it.
Simply a classic. You can't go wrong with Knob Creek.
Not at all.
Knob Creek is not very sweet, but it definitely hits. It definitely hits. It's 100 proof. Knob Creek definitely goes well. I'll give you a quick hack out there if you want to do something cool with the holiday season coming up. You can mix some Knob Creek and some eggnog.
Chef's
Chef's
kiss?
Chef's kiss. I can't think of nothing else that really goes better with eggnog than Knob Creek. But yeah, it's a whiskey that's very tobacco forward, which is kind of to be considered and anticipated with a Kentucky bourbon. But I would give it I'm giving it a 7.7 out of 10. Knob Creek.
7.7.
Yeah, 7.7 for me.
But I like Knob Creek.
Knob Creek is great.
I love Knob Creek actually. I don't know. 7.7. You know, as much as I want to go up, I'm gonna go down a little bit. I'm gonna go 7.5.
Okay.
I do like it. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like, you know, as our saying goes, if it's brown, go down. So,
You clown.
no frown. But you know, the more dark liquors, cognacs, and whiskeys and bourbons you stumble upon, you know, your palate changes a little bit. Now there's always been, you know, it gets the job done. It definitely serves in a pinch, but it's enjoyable too. So on the scale of what we would normally do, it's not a cheers and celebratory type of drink, but it's definitely, you know, you want to have some fun. You had a bad day at work, get you some Knob Creek, see how you feel. Right?
This is a great whiskey to have in the crib, to just have in your rotation for those nights where you get off work and you just want to have a quick drink or whatever. That's not going to break your pockets. You could definitely turn to a Knob Creek. That's going to be maybe a better option for you in the smoothness factor versus something like, say, a Jack Daniels would. So this is something that I would definitely say, keep it in your bag, but don't bust it out for the party or special occasion.
Yeah, nah.
It's good.
Don't show up to the party like, yeah, I got the Knob Creek. Like, oh yeah,
It's squeeze me.
that's what you bought. You could have bought cake. You could have bought plates.
All right, so we already reviewed some whiskey. How about we check in with ourselves, man. We got to do our mental health check. How the hell are you, man? It's been a week.
It has been a week. It's probably be the lowest I ever report. I'm probably mid level 5 right now. One of my best friends passed away about a week and a half ago. Went to a funeral yesterday. Still dealing with the residuals of that. Whenever you suffer any type of loss or anything, it's always a grieving process. So it's still fresh. The memory of her will always live on in my mind and my heart. So in spirit of that, I'm going to dedicate, this show to my homie Margaret, aka Max. Love you, always.
What's your number?
Yeah, say 5.2. 5.3 right now.
That's to be understandable too, buddy.
Yeah.
For me, I'll probably say I'm at like an 8.9. I'm still high up there. I'm also dealing with an unfortunate loss I just heard about last Friday of a former colleague of mine, Linda. She was a remarkable person. So, though I didn't have much of a relationship with her, like personally, on some everyday, or we chatted all the time, when we did have talks, it always felt like it was enlightening, and it was just nice to be around somebody who was like super professional, no matter what the circumstances was outside of what the hell was going on with us right now. So last time I talked to her was on Father's Day. She sent me a little text saying Happy Father's Day, and that she was going to make me some banana pudding or whatever when my son get here. But hearing about her passing, it hit a nerve. Especially I know that she was taking care of her father who was up there in age and in bad health. So yeah, I'm gonna dedicate, I guess, my portion of the show to her as well. And yeah, man, people come into your lives and they leave an impact on you, and then sometimes the Lord calls them on to bigger and better things, and you just kind of got to accept it and then take what you can from the experience you had with them and just be a better person going forward. So we dedicate the show to them two unbelievable women, and though we are both grieving our losses, we will definitely have a bigger appreciation for life and cheers up again in their honor. So as the show proceeds, there's been some stuff going on out there outside this movie, man.
Yeah, it's been a few things.
So, of course, we cannot have a show like we have a show and not talk about what's going on in the news, especially when it revolves a little bit of romance.
Just a tad.
Your man, King the Conqueror, Jonathan Majors, recently in court. If any of y'all out there have been paying attention to the news in regards to him, he had an ex-girlfriend who alleged that he abused her.
Allegedly.
Alleged that he abused her.
Allegedly.
And yeah, we started to get a couple of details that's coming out that say that what you're saying might be some bullshit.
So you're saying there's an outside chance that Jonathan Majors might be innocent?
He definitely might be innocent, but I will tell you this though, he has kind of been canceled in the court of public opinion over the last couple of weeks.
Definitely has.
We talking about a guy who just started Creed 3.
Yeah.
Like we said, played King the Conqueror in a couple of Marvel installations.
Just one.
Loki. No, he was in Loki as King the Conqueror, and he was also in Ant-Man, Quantumania.
I don't count.
Was he not a bright spot in the movie?
He was the only bright spot.
So he was in the movie.
I mean, he was the movie.
All right, so we talking about a guy whose trajectory was aiming nothing but upward.
Absolutely.
You can make an argument that he was probably, as far as black actors in Hollywood was concerned, he was the hottest thing since Down South Grits and Catfish.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When these allegations came out,
stock drop.
and I guess we have to mention, at least I have to mention that this was a white woman that made these allegations.
A what? A what?
A white T woman.
A what?
A white T woman.
Okay.
She made these allegations saying that he abused her. There has been some, we haven't got all the details, But there has been some evidence that has been provided to New York Police Department that everything that she said was completely inaccurate and false. And he's been in court claiming his innocence along with his lawyer. The one thing that I found interesting about that situation was
what?
He apparently is in a new relationship with Megan Good.
Megan Good?
Fine ass Megan Good.
I love to see it.
Their relationship can't be that old. And maybe they were friends over the course of who knows how long. But I found it interesting that she showed up to court with him. Yeah. Which makes me bring up the question of whether or not, do you have a problem with a woman showing up to court with a dude that is on quote-unquote trial for domestic abuse before he's shown to be innocent? Well, I guess he's innocent until proven guilty. But would you align yourself in that situation unless you knew for a fact that this motherfucker is innocent?
I think you kind of have to know. I mean, that would look, that doesn't exactly speak to good optics. Like, you can't show up with somebody.
That optics.
I saw that. But you can't exactly show up with somebody that's accused for something and pound the table that, they're innocent, or at least ride with them to the point. And then, when they're guilty, or if they're found guilty, then what happens? Like, you kind of have to have a level of certainty. And from the beginning, I remember I cautioned everybody, like, let's see how this plays out. Because so much happened so quickly. And everybody was so quick to cancel this man.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but we don't really know the entire story. So let's see it play out. And it was one of those, it's something to be said about somebody who says they're innocent and then proceeds to say, you know what? You'll see in court. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to rah-rah about it. I'm not going to throw a tantrum. I'm not going to tweet. I'm actually going to be quiet.
I'm not going to make a statement.
No.
I'll have my day in court.
Exactly. When he started doing that, I was like, oh, he got some shit. He got some shit. So, side note, it did make me smile to see Megan Good and Jonathan Majors,
I thought it was a flex.
I thought it was
a
dope.
definite flex. As a man, I think every man that's a man would be on some shit like, oh, this nigga innocent.
Look at this.
She's showing up to the court like she's supporting her man because she knows she innocent. It's like, how do you know this man was innocent? So the night of the question, that motherfucker was with me.
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe I got from the situation. I'm kind of like, what woman would align herself and bring herself to this court case unless she already knew what the hell was going on?
Jonathan Majors definitely has some Kennedy Cochran energy. Like, you know what? You think something else?
Hey,
watch
man.
this.
Hey, Jonathan Majors, if this ain't a sign to bet on black, I don't know what is.
Wesley Snipes said it. Always bet on black.
Always bet on black, dog.
Speaking of, what else we got in the news? What else we got?
Well, before we get to this other thing, let's bring up some more important news that's going on right now. So the Supreme Court has ruled. They have come down with a ruling to end affirmative action in regards to college admissions in the United States of America.
How do you spell that? No, we're not going to get into this.
Yeah, no, we're not going to spell it. But pretty much, many people on one side are calling this an attack on black people. One of which is the well-respected Cornel West, who's also running for president, by the way.
Absolutely.
The other people on the other side saying that people shouldn't be getting into college based on their color anyway. So this ruling is just a step in the right direction as far as making college admissions an equal opportunity situation. To that I say that if you have ever filled out an application to go to an institute of higher education, you know that shit has little to do with your skin color and more about who you know. Like if you're a fringe student, but daddy is a donor, or that's his alma mater, there's a good chance that you're probably going to get it. don't care if you're white, black, yellow, green, or whatever. But the ruling itself does take a step in a scary direction of if you're going to have this effect on college admissions, once that starts trickling down to the workplace, getting jobs, whether or not you're stopping people of color from getting jobs or jobs having to have a minimum percentage of applicants they accept, then it kind of gets murky. Sort of like the Rooney Rule in the NFL, that you have to interview a black candidate. It gets real tricky.
Yeah.
The way I follow the situation is as follows. One, call me naive, but I do feel like in 2023 we have reached a level as a society here in America where me as a black man, I really don't feel like the statement, oh, they're holding me back because I'm black, plays anymore. So, if you want to claim racism, one, you better have some evidence to the affirmative on that. But let's say you wanted to get into a college institution, right? Let's say you wanted to go to Harvard. Actually, we know somebody that went to Harvard that was black.
Yes, we do.
Let's say you wanted to get into Harvard. And you say, I filled out the application and then I got it. There are certain people out there that say, well, they accepted you because they was trying to fill their affirmative action, quote unquote, quota of saying, all right, we have a certain amount of black students at our school. Mm-hmm. So it kind of robs you of the joy of being able to say, I got in on my own merit. That just because of my work that I did, that I got in. Mm-hmm. And then you also take away the argument that people who are already enrolled in that school of saying like, oh, you only got in because you're black, or you only got in because you're Asian, or you only got in because you are whatever. So it's a tough scenario in that perspective. My only argument is this. While I feel affirmative action is necessary, I feel like in 2023 as black folks, we don't need nothing from you motherfuckers. If y'all not going to have me at Harvard, I will go somewhere else. I don't want to be associated with your university anyway. Maybe I go to an HBCU or whatever. I see that it has consequences down the road as far as outside of college admissions.
Yeah.
But as far as like where I'm going to go for my higher education, man, fuck y'all. I don't need to go to your institution anyway. Somebody gonna have it.
I hear what you're saying, and on some level, I do agree with you all the way. On the other side of it, it's so you bring up the point of in 2023, there really isn't that aspect of being held back, or we shouldn't view it as a detriment, so to speak, in this light anymore. I feel like that's true up until a point, because I feel like you can say that, but if a situation, a job, opportunity, or whatever presents itself to you that you're clearly qualified for, in some cases overqualified for, and the separating factor has to do with something racially driven, then in those circumstances, yeah, you can't fight what nature is giving you. And sometimes you have to turn that into a strength, and other times you can't help that. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, that's completely not true. I mean, it rears its head in every aspect of society and social interaction I've ever had in my life. With the same thought process in place, as black people, I feel like we've come to the conclusion like shit gonna be this way anyway. And there's some people that will say, that will take the stance on what you just said, like, you know, I'm being held back. You know, they don't want me to do this, they don't want me to do that. Which is true. Mm-hmm. But we've known that. Which is why we've kind of adopted the style of, fuck what they want me to do, I'm gonna do it anyway.
That's exactly the point I'm making.
But what I'm saying is we can't ignore that. I mean, just because we've chosen to look a certain way doesn't mean the former isn't true. It is.
Yeah.
There's a certain,
that's true.
There's a certain stopgap, and there's a certain know your place.
Right.
But at the same time, it's you develop that mentality of you don't want me to do it. That's cool. I'm gonna do it anyway. And I feel like that has more to do with available information and available education.
Right.
You know, boosting ourselves up as a people. You know, informing us of different tactics or educational routes or, you know, different avenues to take. And as we can sit here with the mentality of, I don't care what you say is going to happen anyway, I feel like that puts more of a responsibility and more of a leadership on our shoulders to show people how to get to that point. Because as we all know, it's a lot easier to tell somebody to do something than to show them the steps.
Oh yeah.
So it's just more so of adapted to the mentality of, yeah, you have to understand nothing will be given to you. Nothing will be handed to you.
And that's when I'm looking at the consequences of the situation. So you can strike down this ruling, right?
Mm.
But to me, it doesn't completely eliminate any of the other roadblocks that we as black people feel anyway, which is nepotism, cronyism. So you could say, like, okay, we're going to take away this mandate that we got to have a certain amount of people of color inside our institution. But it doesn't stop John from getting his son in. It doesn't stop Mary, who's a major donor to the university, and this is her alma mater, from getting all three of her nephews into the university. It doesn't stop somebody who's a professor or a former professor at a university from getting in their child or whatever. It doesn't really make a difference to me, because what I've seen over the years, and I'm not saying that affirmative action hasn't had an effect on my life and my opportunities that I've had, but what I'm saying is it doesn't stop what really goes on in the shadows, which is people always going to look out for their own kind over what should be the best candidate for the position at large. You've seen it at your job, you've seen it at university, you've seen it in schools, public and private, that normally favoritism is the most important aspect of who gets opportunities and who's worthy of certain situations or not. So that's just my thought.
Well, two things can be true at one time. You're absolutely right. That's the way of the world, and we know that to be the truth. You know, you're always going to look out for the people closest to you or the people you associate the most with.
Yeah.
That being said, those necessarily aren't necessarily the best people for those positions. And what that does is it creates a dynamic of, even though we know something to be true, we've all worked somewhere, or we've all been in a situation as to where it's like the person in charge you look at and you're like, how did you get this position?
Yeah.
But you also look at the person that makes suggestions and it's like, how do you not have this position? So what it does is it creates the dynamic of, as easily as we can sit here and say, you know, things are going to be the same until things change. It's like, well, what's the catalyst exactly? Where's the catalyst? And at what point do we decide, like, you know what? This needs to change. I feel like it's a step in the wrong direction.
It definitely is. Without question.
And I just feel like this is going to trickle in a way that will affect us all. And like we always say, we'll just see it. Let's just wait and see how it all shakes out.
I just love the fact that, at least in my opinion, what I'm trying to make as my argument, it doesn't seem like as much of a deterrent for the momentum that we built over the last 50, 60 years that I think people make it out to be. I think that we have institutionally and also in our education have made so many strides in the right direction that a ruling like this will not stop whatever progress that we have made. I think we'll be all right.
I hope you're right.
But speaking of steps in the right direction, I love to bring up this next one right here, man, because you have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
If people have been paying attention to what's been going on online, outside of the Cardi B and Offset situation, we posted on our Instagram page. There was also a clip that was posted online. Miss Aisha Curry, wife of NBA superstar, NBA game changer, Stephen Curry.
Chef
Curry. So Aisha Curry was on daytime television. I think it was The View, if I'm not mistaken. And they had a segment during the show where they had brought out a gentleman who was dressed kind of like in that what they call that, Magic Mike situation.
Oh, okay.
You know, top. You ain't got no shirt on.
Yeah.
Got the bow tie on with some slacks or whatever. And he was coming out to the set with all the females.
Yeah.
And you know, the audience getting hot and heavy. All the ladies on the set is getting kind of like, ooh,
Getting excited. A little elaborate. Okay.
So Aisha Curry was also participating in that hoopla, but she made the motion of taking off her ring. Like, I'm about to take this fucking ring off. And she did it numerous times. And he actually bought her, I think it was a drink on a tray or something like that. And she was kind of insinuating, like, this is a lot of pressure right here. So people online start going crazy. Like, what kind of fucking disrespect this is for this wife to be somebody who's in the public eye. Everybody who knows Steph Curry know Aisha Curry and know their children, Riley and all that, right?
Oh, man.
The fact that she would make the gesture of taking her ring off for this person, they found it quite disrespectful towards Steph Curry.
Okay.
At first glance, I said, and on second glance, I said, yeah, that's a little bit sus, though.
I was actually about to just straight, Serena Williams backhand this back to you. Because as a man that is married,
Oh, yeah.
in a marriage,
Oh, yeah.
how do you do that?
How'd that make me feel?
Yeah.
That shit is conversation worthy when you get in the house. That shit is like, yo, did you really like represent us the best way that you possibly could in that position?
Did you have the team in mind?
Did you have the squad in mind? My thing with that situation is like this, yo. You're a married woman. You see somebody who's like physically attractive, and they're presenting themselves in such a way that is like, oh, this person is like, they are a seducer of sorts and shit. You know what I mean? So
What?
they are attractive, and they are playing on their attractiveness in your presence.
Okay.
And your response is, I'm attracted to this person. There are so many ways you can go other than gesturing, taking off your ring. I've seen women like fan themselves, like, ooh, it's getting kind of hot in here. I've seen women kind of like burl up, like, oh God, this is a lot of fucking pressure. Like, this man around me, he's sexy and all this other shit like that. It's like, all right, I get all that. But the gesturing of like taking off my ring, breaking this union type shit, while I'm not going to excoriate her and say some shit like, yo, we got a divorce or anything like that, that's cool. But the gesture itself kind of says like, yo, oh, as a man, enough pressure is applied to you, you'd be willing to be on some shit like, man, I'm ready to risk it all. That's what the gesture means to me. You ready to risk it all under the right circumstances. And as a married man, that's some hard shit to get out your system once you've seen it. I can't unsee what I already saw.
All right, so you've always given me the nickname the man that rides two horses, right?
Yes.
So, for those of you that don't know, most people have an angel and a devil on their shoulder. Both of them motherfuckers is dark. So, which opinion do you want me to give? On one hand, I get what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
It visually gives cause, so to speak. With that, I say this. Talk about Aisha Curry.
And your point?
She kind of strikes me as somebody that, even with this gesture, is like, okay, so, let's look at her background, shall we?
Do you really want to look at her background?
Yes, please, because it says a lot.
Come on, son.
She does a lot for attention. A lot.
Yes.
And then when she gets it, she doesn't necessarily handle it in the best ways possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe this was her way of saying, oh, I'm getting hot. I'm about to... No, the fuck you're not. No, the fuck you're not.
So what you're talking about right now
No, you're
is...
not.
What you're talking about right now is like what would happen versus on what's really going on behind the fucking machine and shit. We are talking about a person who in the past has... Hold on. We rated this whiskey. We also gave a number on how we feeling right now, right? No?
Yeah.
What rating would you give Aisha Curry on a scale of attractiveness? Not just physical attractiveness, not knowing nothing about her. You see her walking down the street, you say, that girl, that woman right there is a...
Solid 7. And this is why my mind said it's the way it is. I'm just being honest.
You just said Aisha Curry
Solid 7.
on a scale of attractiveness. Physical attractiveness is a 7?
I'll give it a 7. You want me to go into detail?
No, I don't need to go into detail. But she's clearly at the minimum of 8. The woman is gorgeous. She's pretty.
Yeah, 7.
Okay. I would hate to know who the hell is a 9 for you.
Oh, man.
Alright? But anyway, she will be universally regarded by most men to be attractive.
I never said 7 wasn't attractive.
That's not the point I was trying to make.
I'm just trying to figure out the difference between 7 and 8.
Let me tell you where I'm going.
All right, please.
She would universally be regarded as somebody who is physically attractive to most men.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
This is the same woman who in the past has said that sometimes she doesn't feel pretty, and sometimes she does wonder why most men or more men don't hit on her or approach her. Mind you, your husband is one of the most recognizable men on the face of the planet now, which makes him one of the most recognizable men in the face of history. He is a father to your children, for all intents and purposes. From what we see, is a loving husband and gives you attention. That's what we see. For you to do that gesture after making that comment, I'm not saying it's a cancel card, but I'm saying it's a strike 2. You got one more time before I take this left foot that's a size 13 and I'm going to put it in your fucking ass. What the hell is you doing? Because you sounding real insecure right now. And then when you're around a shirtless man, you losing all your fucking wit and responsibilities about you. What's really going on?
I get where you're going, and I understand that mentality, and I understand the cost for cause.
What's the cost for cause?
But here's where it really breaks down for me, right? Like we were getting into, she is a very attractive young lady. She definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
Not the most socially inept motherfucker in the world, but she's attractive. And through her comments in the past, she seems to want something, but at the same time, I don't feel like she's adept or equipped to handle that. She strikes me as very awkward, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe.
if I'm dealing with that, I'm pretty much looking at certain things like I know the way you meant them to come off, but I will shoot you grace for being awkward. Now, is this one of those times? Probably warrants a conversation. But at the same time, let's not sit here and also skip over what she was saying before as well that you failed to mention. She also failed to mention that she did take shots at, I don't know why all of these women are out here, scantily clad, and, I don't feel like I need to be one of those people to not wear anything. Then proceeded to start dressing more skimpy. What? Come on.
Is she an example of you're not a married man?
I'm not. Well,
but is she an example that there are? You better stop playing with me. Is she an example that some women don't know how to conduct themselves as a wife? In the public eye.
I feel like, we do a lot of things as men sometimes that I feel like we don't really take responsibility for. And I feel like one of those things happens to be a lot of attention sometimes, a little bit too much attention.
Yeah.
And I feel like we put a lot of stock into things sometimes, and we overthink a situation. So you take a beautiful woman, as many of us have, like, first thing we usually say, oh, you must have everybody chasing after you, or you must be this, or you must be that. Half of the time, that's not really the case. I don't really feel like that's the case. I know a lot of women that are very, very attractive and say, I don't really get hit on a lot. So then you take it and you add it to somebody that might be a little bit socially awkward. You're a pretty, very attractive young lady who happens to be with one of the most recognizable figures in the world. Mm-hmm. You're also socially awkward, but you're very attractive. And you sit back and you wonder why you're not being hit on. So then what do? You draw a reference to the fact you're not being hit on. So then what happens? You get hit on. And then what happens after that? Oh, no, I didn't mean it, I'm married. What? Did you not ask for that?
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
Did you not ask for that? So when I look at the situation, was it done in the greatest of taste? No, probably not. Am I sitting here about to pound the table that Aisha Curry made a reference to take it off her ring?
You are a thought.
Because Magic Mike danced around her and she got a little hot under the collar? No,
we're not saying that.
What? No. All right.
But you are saying, if you are her husband, if you are Steph Curry, when she get home that night, you kind of be on some shit like, hey, meet me in the living room right quick.
All right, so I got a question for you.
We got to talk.
I got a hypothetical, and this is not in any way, shape, or form happening. Aisha Curry gets a little bit hot under the collar because Magic Mike danced on her.
Yeah.
Let's flip that around. Let's say Steph Curry gets a little bit hot under the collar because Meg Thee Stallion danced on her. Is it the same reaction? No. Absolutely not.
No, it's not the same reaction. But I know as a man in that situation, there's a way you're supposed to conduct yourself.
Do you feel like he'd be able to conduct himself?
I think he would be able to conduct himself.
I think so too, because Steph Curry's a fucking saint.
He's a fine Christian man.
He's a saint. Him and Russell Wilson are sitting side by side.
Let me tell you something. When you marry, or if you're in a committed relationship, you're going to be attracted to other people. Newsflash.
I mean, you're going to be attracted to anybody.
It's going to happen. You're going to run into attractive people. You're going to run into people that's going to shoot their shot. How you react to it, how you prepare yourself to react to it is the most important thing. And I felt like she found herself in a situation that she wasn't prepared for.
All right,
and she reacted viscerally.
Okay. So I have
she
a
normally
question.
would react if she wasn't a married woman.
So you understood the mindset she was in.
I completely understand.
You just didn't appreciate the gesture and how it made the overall team look.
Right.
So it's like
This,
it's like having a star player,
yeah.
and it's like, I love how you play. I love what you bring to the team. However, when you go out in public and you do dumb shit, it makes us look
Right.
okay.
It's only worth a conversation, and I'll leave it at this. It's equivalent to, since we talking NBA, this is a perfect analogy.
Are you about to say?
It's a perfect analogy. Whenever we see a guy, or whenever we see a player that is signed to a team,
Yeah.
but then after the game they talking with another player, like, "Hey man, you should come to our team." You know some shit like, "Hey man, we'll see. We'll see." That reaction, that response right there, is not necessarily respectful to your current organization.
All right, I understand that.
You should have a more PC answer and a more forward-facing answer of like, "Hey man, I'm committed to this team. This is where I'm at right now, and when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it." And I can't get into that right now. You can have all the attraction in the world and go into that other organization, but how you position yourself in that moment right there should be the way that would make your partner feel safe, secure, and confident in your future. That's it. So, as we move on, let's get into the main topic, the entree of today. Now, we dig in to the Netflix movie, The Perfect Find.
Yes, sir.
So, The Perfect Find came out in 2023. The movie is on Netflix and Netflix alone. It stars Gabrielle Union, Keith Powers, Gina Torres, and one Miss Lala Anthony. The synopsis of the movie is: everything is at stake for a 40-year-old woman. Her career, her ticking biological clock, and her bank account. She risks it all for an intense secret romance with one person who could destroy her comeback. After watching the movie, that synopsis and summary from Netflix, it don't sound right.
It doesn't.
It really fucking don't sound
It was
right.
a little bit much. It was overly dramatic.
I'm not even sure how her bank account was suffering. I mean, I know she needed to get back in her workforce or whatever like that, but it ain't seem like she was struggling too bad.
Nah, not really.
Because in the movie, she moved back to New York and moved into an apartment like, no problem. And that was an expensive ass fucking apartment.
And it wasn't like she was like, they made it seem like her bank account was like really dwindling. Like, if my bank account is dwindling, you know, I'm going to try to get a job in the field I have.
Yeah.
But if I need like a job like today, like,
I'm working wherever I got to go. White Castles.
McDonald's, Denny's,
Whatever.
Junior's. Like,
And the one person who could destroy her comeback?
that seemed very, very overblown.
Don't be doing Eric like that.
Also, gave him way too much power. But you know what? We're going to get to that because I feel
Okay.
like that was a lot. That was very much self-imposed as well.
Okay, so we watched this film. I watched it 1.5 times.
All right, so real quick, I watched it one and the 8 times. What would you rate it? Because you know we're recommending a movie on Netflix exclusive. What would you rate it?
I'm going to save my rating for the end. I think you should too. You disagree?
No.
Okay.
I'm
I'm
good.
gonna say my rating. I'm gonna say my rating for the end.
I'm with it.
But I would say this before I give my rating. I would say that I enjoyed it more than most people did.
Okay.
You know how I know that I enjoyed it more than most people did?
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
You put the like?
I liked it.
Okay.
So I would say this. Let's go to Twitter, right? Some people who are talking about this movie. This one comes from Sharima Jan on Twitter. She says, "Not a hater, but Perfect Find is all over the place. Great cast, but the script gave nothing." Jasmine Ali says, "The Perfect Find made me realize how long we have let Gabrielle Union get away with playing the same role, and why y'all keep hiring Lala." Just finished watching Perfect Find, and I know my sis Gabby has to come up with her half of the bills, but I'm gonna need her to only take serious roles. That movie made no damn sense. Willie and a half says, "Can we talk about the soundtrack for Perfect Find? OMG, hashtag perfection. This fucking soundtrack
Yeah, the soundtrack
was
lit.
amazing,
Soundtrack
bro.
was lit.
I'm not sure I heard a better soundtrack since maybe I don't know.
Soundtrack was
Brown
lit.
Sugar, Above the Rim. come to mind.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's in that category. It's lit though.
Fat Bougie Bitch on Twitter says, this curl bob is pissing me off so bad. Gabby looked fucking 73 in this movie. What the fuck? Tanisha says, I'm watching The Perfect Find, and after Eric's mom literally told him off and he remained quiet, I don't see what she sees in him anymore. This boy is literally a child.
Okay.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
But
A couple other ones says Gabrielle Union to keep power in the relationship in The Perfect Find made me cringe so bad. As a rom-com enthusiast, Perfect Find pissed me off to no end. My hopes were so high because Gabrielle Union and Gina Torres was in it, but Jesus Christ, even their gorgeous faces couldn't keep me glued past 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I was visibly upset. Thank God for Keith Powers. He saved the movie. Lala Anthony has made a career of playing the bestie. That's a fact. She always somebody's best friend on the show or friend on the show.
I mean, all right. If we're being fair, and we're being honest, is that a bad role for her?
It kind of makes it seem like you aren't built for anything more than that.
But I mean, is it all right? So, if we're being honest, and viewers, listeners, think of every role Lala Anthony is in. Period. Every single role. Now switch her out with the main character. Do you really want to watch it? Do you really want to watch the show or the movie? No, you don't. You don't.
This tweet right here sets us up for how we should start our conversation. This one comes from Gen Z Snack on Twitter.
Shout out.
She says, I'm not understanding this perfect find. How did they meet and suddenly start kissing? Question mark. Somebody replied, chemistry?
Yeah.
Somebody else said, Mercury retrograde? So hopefully if you're listening to this podcast, you checked out the movie like we suggested on our Instagram page. If you haven't followed our Instagram page, we are at Mind on Matters on Instagram. We will keep you up to date on what we're going to review next and keep you abreast of some interesting facts that we find about the movie that we review anyway. So if you haven't checked out the movie, there's an interesting scene early on. And when I say early on, I mean about goddamn 12 minutes into the movie where our two love interests meet. Jenna and Eric.
Yeah.
They meet at a after hours little get together.
It was like a party or some type of party.
It was like a party. It seemed like it was at like a upscale lounge or something like that.
Actually, I think it was like an industry type of situation. I think it was
right, because somebody was at the party that recognized.
It was some
Jenna
it was some type of fashion party or some type of industry party, and they went. Her and her friends went.
Now we have to mention that Jenna went there looking for the dick.
Yeah, according to
that's how our friends got out the house.
Yeah, that was the intent.
She was smoking. She was vaping. All right, pretty sure it wasn't tobacco.
Shout out to the vapors.
It wasn't tobacco. She definitely had some weed in that pen. All right, so she was under the influence. She was nodded off in the corner, and here come Eric, like a thief in the night, predatorily.
It was actually very predatory. You can't ask a motherfucker a sleeping beauty.
Like, he rolls up on like, hey,
doing
sleeping beauty.
Like, whoa.
And once he catches eyes with this man, you'll see that smile, the Hollywood smile. She's completely entranced off the rip. And she's entertained. And they begin a little conversation. They get to talking.
Emphasis on little.
It wasn't a long conversation, the way the movie shot, the scene itself. But yeah, she was already engaged after about 30, 45 seconds. So they was kissing. They was flirting. He told her how much she was attracted to her. She in turn told him how much she was attracted to him, and then they kissed. And in the midst of that kiss, she says one of the most cringe comments that I think I've ever heard somebody say after an initial encounter and kiss. She says, I think I love you.
Yeah.
We are off to a bad start.
Yo, can I just say, when we were reviewing this movie, when that happened, the second that happened, I paused it and I was like, nah, the fuck, she didn't say that. I was like, wait.
Yes, she did.
I was like, nah, she didn't say that shit. like, we're gonna get to that in a second. You know, the laws of attraction and, you know, love at first sight versus, you know, the build. But
Yeah.
nah, man.
So here's the interesting thing. They obviously had some physical chemistry between them already.
Yeah.
Mind you, for those who haven't watched the film, Jenna and Eric are the two main characters, and they are the love interests with each other. Jenna is in her 40s.
Yeah.
Eric is in his 20s.
Yeah.
There's a clear gap of about 2 decades in between these people.
Yeah.
She's a fashion editor. He just got out of college not too long ago. USC film student. They're going to be working together because, after they kiss, the next day they find out that Eric is the son of Jenna's boss.
No big deal. It's like,
So yeah, things take a turn there. But their initial interaction, no. Did somebody move a little bit too quickly? And the power of initial physical attraction. Is it something that cannot be denied? And is it also something that is plausible for long-term success in regards to a romantic partnership?
so I'm gonna answer the questions in reverse. All right.
Okay.
I feel like strongest chemistry I've ever encountered is just that natural, organic chemistry where it's damn near instantaneous and you feel it instantly. With that being said, I have learned that that's the most intense, but it might not be the most effective. I believe in, you know, you start with chemistry and you build around that. I believe, you know, things, or at least things worth fighting for, take a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that instantaneous chemistry is a bitch, boy. That shit'll have you ready to get on one knee in no time. I don't know if I've ever been in that situation that's where after a kiss I told somebody I think I love you. That's a little bit hard.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
That one right there gave me some cause.
If you a dude,
oh God.
well, goddamn it, man. You are a man.
I mean, you know, the last time I checked.
As a man, if a woman said that to you,
Oh,
is that an automatic like, hey, bruh, like,
not gonna lie, I would probably hear that cycle.
how you hit me with a red flag that fast? You know what I mean? Like, I know you off the Zaza right now, but to hit me with the "I think I love you" after the kiss, it seemed a little bit forward. I think there's something endearing as a man when you are courting a woman, whether or not things are moving fast, things are moving slow, but as long as they're moving organically, whenever there's a little bit of resistance there, I think it's healthy. Because it shows that a woman, even though she might be attracted to you, that she is aware of her own boundaries. I think the moment that we get into a situation where I could tell that we are attracted to each other, but you already hit me with the "I love you" or "I think I like you" that first day, you kind of already signaling like you can get so succumb to your own desires or how you get attracted to people that you lose all sense of, you don't even know me. How can you say you love me? Which makes me question your discernment when it comes to other things. Like, is this something that normally happens to you? Like, you get caught up in things, and when you up in the whirlwind, you can't even see straight. So my projections for you as far as like being a potential girlfriend or maybe a potential wife in the future or some shit, I'm kind of looking at you like, oh, you might be one of those ones that got like an addictive personality or some shit. And when you find something that you really like, you get a taste of sugar, your ass just lose it. Automatic diabetic. So it's like, yo, it is like it's a major concern for me, the fact that she said that line.
Yeah, it is a little bit alarming. it's cause for pause, as I would say. But it's so weird because, we're often in this day and age, we're hit with, moving with intention and, being open and vulnerable, but also, just letting things go with the flow and everything. But this is what comes with when you let things go with the flow. When you allow things to flow, best believe they will flow.
Yeah, they gonna flow.
So
They gonna flow now.
it's more of, I don't believe it was intentional. I believe this was definitely, letting things flow. But at the same time, at the same time, when allowing things to flow, you have to expect these type of situations of results. So I believe when she said that, she was definitely living in the moment. As many would believe, as many would say now, she was living her best life.
It was all Zaza.
She was in a way, she was in the vibe, and this is what happens. On his part, it's weird. I was looking at this and I was just laughing. I was like, oh man, this is so interesting. I think he was definitely in a vibe as well, but I feel like he tried to do what most young men do. Downplay it. Oh no, what happened between us. It was just, nothing really. But I feel like he only did that after she tried to downplay it. Like, I believe he was more excited about it. Like, hey, you remember what happened yesterday? Nothing happened yesterday.
Yeah, it wasn't
So, okay, it was like, it was nothing. And I feel like, as men, it's so funny because now we're in this era of, being vulnerable, sharing your feelings and emotions. But also when you're growing up, it's, you hide that. Or you hold that down. Like, oh, I think I really like her. Don't tell her that.
Yeah, nah.
Like, nah, you hold on to that. So, it was weird, but it was funny as hell at the same time. Like, oh, man, yeah, I wouldn't do that. Now I'm at the point where I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck at all. I'd be like, man, listen, I feel this way. You gonna fuck with it. You don't.
So Jenna quickly finds out that Eric is, like you said, her boss's son. And they have a conversation about, okay, we met at this little get together. We kissed. We had some chemistry. We had an interaction with each other. It was pleasant. But let's not make it more than what it was.
Yeah.
But apparently, it definitely was more than what it was. So we fast forward a little bit in the film. I think it's important to mention that Jenna is coming off of a 10-year relationship.
Yeah.
With this man Brian.
That is kind of crazy. 10 years, no.
10 years, no ring, no kids. That's very, very, very rare.
That's crazy.
And while I'm saying that, like, I'm not saying anything is wrong with it, but if I had to take myself out of being a man right quick and put myself into a female's shoes, a woman's shoes, if you with a dude for 10 years and y'all not married and ain't no children, there might be a lot of questions on my end if that's something that I did desire myself. Like, what's your intentions here? Like, what is the next 10 years of my life look like? Like, you got like a plan as far as like building a family with me? Like, do you want to marry me? Like, could you imagine being with somebody for 10 years and then they be on some shit like, you know what, I'm really not feeling our relationship anymore. Like, I think we should break up. 10 years? You about to throw 10 years? You think it's something out there better than this thing right here? So anyway, like you learn so much about a person, like, to break that up anyway. So anywho, so she's been in a relationship for 10 years. She just got out of this relationship, clearly distraught or whatever. So her and Eric, they left it as is. They went back to working with each other. In close proximity because they're working on projects with each other.
Yeah.
Jenna is open to dating. Her friends try to hook her up with a man who is, I don't know what the fuck Godfrey is.
It's a godsend. That's what he is.
He's amazing in this film.
Awesome. Shout out to Godfrey.
He's funny as hell. But they try to hook him up with this guy who owns a wine shop, I think he does.
Yeah.
So Jenna's having a house party. She's having a dinner party at her house. She invited a couple people over. She gonna cook. She gonna have some hors d'oeuvres. She gonna have some little weed. Da 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 da. Everybody gonna chill.
I don't know if she had weed or she was
Whatever.
It-
You invite certain people,
Oh yeah, you gotta expect certain things.
you know it's gonna be something in the building.
Of course.
Alright, so she got this get together at her crib, and she invites the guy that her friend's trying to hook her up with.
Yeah.
But she also invites Eric, who she just had this little connection with at this other thing.
See,
Woo, tacky.
and
Why would you do that?
I feel like I have to phrase this a certain way. I know I would never do this. I know you would never do that. I feel like this is more of a divide,
A gender?
a gender divide. I feel like from a woman's perspective, and I could be wrong. If I am, please hop in these comments and let's get busy.
No. Are you about to say?
I'm about to say some shit.
No.
You better buckle up.
No.
You better buckle up. Hold up.
Are you about to say
I'm about to say some shit, man.
that women have a propensity or no reservation of boundary of having two men that they might be interested in the same proximity and not see a problem? Is that what you say?
Come on, man. You know I would never, ever say that. Until now, I just don't get how Jenna thought this was a good idea. Let's play this out. Let me invite the man that I clearly have some sort of affection or feeling for to the same party in which my friends are trying to, hook me up with somebody, a blind date of sort, and this is our very first time meeting. What can go wrong? Nothing. Not at all. I just don't see how this was seen as anything other than like, I believe she said, it'll ease the tension. It'll make things a little bit easier. For who?
I have no idea.
For who?
For herself? Having options in the building?
Like I said, I might be off base, and if so, I'm fine. I'm cool with that. I've been worse. But listeners, please, if you've ever been in a situation or you've ever put somebody in a situation like this, I need some insight. Insight. Comment, message, tell me stories. Like, I need to know. But I just don't get it. I don't get it. What are we doing? Like, I need some help.
What do you feel like is the most tackiest thing about that whole situation that could go wrong, though? Is the worst case scenario what actually transpired in the film, which was you invited a man who probably came to that party with the intentions of about to meet somebody that they're trying to hook me up with, and then she also invited a coworker who she had a thing with right quick, and by the end of the night, when y'all doing a Soul Train dance and shit like that, you are all up on this man's neck, y'all hugging and clearly being affectionate, and then you just look like, oh, you really fucking with that dude. Is that the worst case scenario?
No. Worst case scenario was actually about to happen, but the movie definitely did a good job of steering away from that. Worst case scenario is about to fight. Is about to be some type of physical, what's the name? Until, Eric's friend had a baby hitch moment and had an allergy to seafood.
Dude, my man lip was crazy.
You're kind of crazy.
My
If
man
it wasn't for that,
crazy,
I believe one of the last things Eric said to my man is, "You got one more time to Sunday." And I was like, yeah, this is going well. So yeah, in a real life situation, I don't see how that doesn't end physically, or does it end with some form of confrontation. But while we were on the subject of how that actually ended, it actually ended,
quite civilly.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, depending on who you are. You know, because, you know, the man that was invited to be a date, you know, he ended up leaving.
I feel like as a man, I could never see myself in a situation where I would have two females in the same proximity with each other, like purposefully.
It definitely wouldn't come by design.
And I would take it even a step further and say, like, I wouldn't even put a situation where I was having a prospect around me and having another female that was around that I wasn't even interested in, but I knew she was interested in me.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't even do that.
Nah.
Like, that shit is like tacky as hell.
Not
Like,
only tacky, it's dangerous.
whoever wrote this film maybe couldn't see that, or maybe that was a complete oversight, or like the way that shit plays out in real life.
It doesn't end that way.
Like, people
It
get smacked.
don't.
People
It
really get
doesn't end
smacked.
that way. I'm actually surprised, as well as many situations as we'll also go through in the movie. There was only really one major argument for the entire movie. And I was like,
It was three, but we'll
I mean,
we'll
major.
get into that. We'll
Major.
get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that.
yeah.
But that was tacky. But all in all, she took a guy that she had a little thing with and invited a potential dating prospect to her house. That wasn't great. So as we fast forward through the movie, Jenna and Eric try to keep their relationship professional. Also, with warning from Eric's mother, who is Jenna's boss, that do not be messing with my son. He might have a little crush on you. You need to keep this shit professional. I gave you a shot to work at my organization, as you've been out of work for a year. So show some respect to our situation.
You also leapfrogged one thing.
What?
What happened at the end of Jenna's party?
Oh, yeah. How could I forget?
How could you forget that?
So everybody left the party, except Eric.
Oh.
Eric stayed.
Oh.
They had a little conversation in the kitchen. Of course, you know, food got to get put back in the refrigerator. He's being a helping hand as a responsible man. You know, Mama told him well.
Yeah.
And as they're talking in the kitchen, there's a little bit of building on the chemistry from the previous night. There's a level of attraction there.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric did a thug thing. He said, "Listen, I enjoy myself. I appreciate the hors d'oeuvres. I appreciate the hospitality. But I'm about to jet." And as he's walking off, Jenna turned into Scorpion from Mortal Kombat and said, "Get over here." They said, "Where you think you going, young man?" And brought him back to the kitchen island.
Oh.
And then it was on and popping from there. So she wound up getting duffed out on the island.
Duffed
On the
out?
kitchen island. Yeah. Eric is a munch.
So,
Yes.
I'm assuming that, you know, for those of you that are listening and everything else, you'll watch the movie. So he proceeded to, you know, give her some fellatio.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Is what the French call it.
Or is there something wrong with that? Is there something wrong with first date fellatio? Or first encounter fellatio? In your opinion? Don't act shy now, nigga.
Nah, I'm not acting shy. I don't think I see nothing wrong with it. I don't think I see nothing wrong with it, man.
Which way? Which way we talking?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with it.
Giving or receiving?
Either way. Yeah, either way.
Okay.
Now, I would say this, though. In Eric's situation, that would have been my way of proceeding, but I'm not mad at the gentleman for doing what he got to do. He's 20-something years old.
There you go.
You're dealing with an older woman.
Yeah,
You're trying to show up and show out.
Yeah, let me show you what the fuck it is.
Do what you got to do. Throw up on the island, get it popping real clever, like,
Exactly.
like especially if you got the level of skill that J Optics possesses. You want to show off what the hell you got. All right.
Yeah.
But as far as throwing her up on there, I'm not sure I would be doing all that. Especially after the little shit we had in the cab earlier. But whatever.
Okay.
Alright, so, yeah. He was trying to leave. She brought him back, and they wound up having sex that night. So I guess the date with Godfrey was not going to happen going forward.
Nope.
Or whatever. So they try to keep their relationship professional and discreet going forward because they got to work on projects at their job. Going forward, they wound up continuing their relationship, and they're keeping a secret from Eric's mother, who is Jenna's boss. So in the midst of their quote-unquote dating, they continue seeing each other, and we get to our next checkpoint scene where there's this, I feel, beautifully shot conversation, post-sex conversation, where they were having a conversation bedside about life,
No pillow talk.
how they dealing with each other, what the fuck does this situation mean between us, and all this other good jazz. And one of the topics of conversation that got brought up during that conversation was the fact that Eric's legacy, as far as kids was concerned, was the fact that he's only concerned with his work.
Yeah.
And that as far as having children, anything like that, or building a family, his legacy will be his films and his work. And Jenna reveals that she was in a 10-year relationship with this dude, Brian. And one of the major points of why that relationship didn't work was that she wanted more. Eric says, "What more did you want?" And she said, "I wanted a family, dude. Like, I wanted to have children." So that's a definite big contrast between their life values at that particular time.
That's a big one.
It was so big of a contrast between them that it didn't mean a goddamn thing in the movie. There was no pause. There was no like, oh, whoa, let's stop this.
Hey man, it was in the vibe and the confines of the bedroom.
What the hell do you
talk?
What the hell do you do in situations where one person wants kids and the other one doesn't, but y'all still want to have sex with each other?
You have to come to from a man's aspect, if I'm dealing with somebody that I know doesn't want kids, and I do, you're making the conscious decision like, all right, so you know what the end result is going to be.
No.
Right. You know, if you want to be safe and you want to be smart, then you're going to strap up. But if you don't, and you know what happens when a seed enters the egg, we all have the person bees talk, we all have biology. Mm-hmm. If that happens, then you know what comes next, and there's not a lot of question with that. And I feel like, depending on the situation and circumstance in your life, that might work for you.
Right.
You might run into somebody, if you are a parent already, and you run into somebody that says, I don't want kids. That might actually work for you. But if you're on the other side of that fence and you're dealing with somebody that doesn't want kids and you do, that's it. I mean, I hate to say it, that's a deal breaker. You can't. Like, how do you move off of that?
It's a major glass ceiling.
Yeah, like, what's, like, and I know we say it lightly, and I know as I sit here and I don't have children, but I do want children. One of the major things that you run into when you're a man of my age, single, is you run into a lot of women who have children, who don't want children. And you kind of have to ask yourself, if I go forward with this, am I okay with not having children or not continuing the legacy or changing my ideology basically for a person? Mm-hmm. And it's a big ask either way, because as much as I want to sit here and I want to say, it's important to me to continue my legacy and, I want children and everything else. What if I'm dealing with somebody who's had children, who's had an experience? And, life is mostly based on experiences, circumstances, history, and what you've gone through. Mm-hmm. So if I'm dealing with somebody, let's say their pregnancy was hard and rough, it might be more than just, no, I don't want to have children. It's, I don't want to risk having children.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many deep avenues in that whole conversation. Like even dealing with somebody who can't have kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of
you know what I mean? Or even on a even more minor level of dealing with somebody who doesn't have the same urgency as you as far as having kids. Like, I can see myself having kids like one day, maybe, I don't know, but like it's everything to you in that moment. Like the whole thing of having kids and like legacy, like people really shouldn't play about that.
Nah.
And I don't care like what kind of chemistry we have. I don't care like what kind of connection we have. I don't care how we vibe together. I don't care about none of that. Our level of romance, how great the sex is, and anything like that. But if like your idea of how you want the rest of your life to go includes having children and their idea is the same, or you can't see yourself having children with this person, there's always going to be a glass ceiling on your relationship. There's going to be always so many triggering moments in your relationships of y'all just sitting around the crib talking and somebody brings up the future and you're kind of like, our future doesn't involve like a junior or a little daughter or somebody for me or whatever. And so I'm like, well, I mean, at least we got each other. It's like, yo, sometimes just having each other ain't enough.
Nah,
so it's like a major thing, and it's surprising to me in this film that they really didn't address that
and stop it
further.
And, like, really delve into it. Yeah,
their conversation went on to just back to what they were resting on, which was their attraction. In fact, in that scene, and they kept talking. Jenna was talking about. She said the line. She said, "I like you." But she said it in a way that, like, in male's term, it was like the quiet "I love you."
Yeah.
You know, like that post sex, all up in your neck, like, I really like you.
It was
It's like I want to say I love you, but I can't.
Yeah, it's the L word before the L word.
Yeah. And I think that what that is like a lot of that is what's that the bonding hormone, that oxytocin that gets released between two people when they share like an intimate relationship with each other or intimate act with each other. It's like you feel this amazing bond with somebody where the word gets thrown around like love, or like I really like you, or I think I'm falling for you, or whatever. And it's like all these hormones is going around, but you kind of like devoid of what does that love actually mean. Somebody just told you, I do not want kids. You just told this person family and having children wasn't important to you. But you so wrapped up into the moment that you totally forget your values of what exactly is important to you in the long run.
Well,
I think it reared its ugly head later on in this film.
Well, let's not forget what happens a lot of times. And I'm going to take this moment to state we're not psychologists, we are not therapists,
Speaking
we are
of
not love we are not love professionals in any way, shape, or form. But what I will say is, we've talked about in the past where, you can know something to be true, but it doesn't change what you want.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of times people will tell you exactly how they feel about you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change how you feel about them and what you want.
Right.
A lot of the times, the biggest argument and the biggest hot button topic is, I just want somebody to keep it real with me. Or why can't y'all tell the truth? And that goes both ways, male, female, both ways. Mm-hmm. Ironically, if you listen to what the person is saying, they're telling you exactly how they feel about you. 9 times out of 10, they're showing you exactly how they feel about you.
Yeah.
Whether or not you choose to believe that fact is something completely different.
Yeah.
But, that goes into something deeper that we can get off of, which is, people see what they want to see.
Yeah, and I think it's also it's that and the fact that a lot of times when you're in a situation that you don't want to end, you're willing to look past the things that you hold dear to your values, just because it's sort of like, you know what, I know I feel the way I feel. I do not want this situation to end, even though that is a major red flag. I will just continue to ignore that fact until this situation plays itself out and, I can just at least experience this person a little bit longer before I say, you know what, because at some point in time, this whole la romance shit is going to end, and then this will be the thing that I stand on, Bill, to say, like, you know what, I can't go any further with you because you don't want to have children, or you don't want to commit, or you don't want to get married. You would never move in. So, it's just the now versus the later. So, as we proceed from that scene, we get to our next big checkpoint in the film, which was there was an interaction with each of them with each other's exes. So they had something that was going on in the park in the movie where Eric was asked to come down and shoot some footage. What he was asked to shoot was actually some young, beautiful black girls, ballerinas,
yes,
in the park, and they was being taught and instructed by none other than Eric's ex,
Madison.
old Maddie. She was there. They was catching up. They were saying, how you doing? And hey, how are you? Everything's good with you, blah, 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 blah. But who was there? Of course, Jenna was there as well. And she was in the posture of being Eric's girlfriend. Which up until that point was supposed to be discreet, and they hadn't put any labels on their particular relationship. What you mean? She came over there as Eric's girlfriend. At least that's how she was posturing herself. What was that?
Postured?
Yeah, postured. Yeah.
That's cool.
Y'all was being very affectionate.
I'm sorry.
Y'all hugged each other 3 times. That's what she was saying. That's just some shit that a girlfriend would say. If we were just fucking, like, why would you give a fuck? Right?
I'm sorry. I can act like the president. What's my title?
It ain't.
It ain't what it ain't.
But I'm just saying, though, she was acting like
And that's cool.
Eric's girlfriend.
And that's cool.
Was she not?
Okay. And you know what happens when you act like something you're not? You get your feelings hurt.
So, Eric, correctly, in that moment, showed to be the mature adult in that situation. He says, yo, you've been trying to keep me in the cut, in the shadows, for the longest. Keeping this shit discreet from my mother, at our job, in public, and all this other good jazz. But you mad because I had a conversation with an ex or whatever. If it's so real, if you feel so strongly about, hey, kiss me right now.
Yeah.
Kiss me right now in front of everybody.
Yeah.
She refused.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't trying to go that far with you, dog. Like, what did you talk about?
You know, she's like, no. So then he says, you know what? I'm out. And she said, you're leaving?
Yeah.
And he said one of the most mature things we've heard in this entire movie. I'm going to let you take it because you love that one.
She says, why you leaving? He says, fighting at a kid's party? It's all bad. It's all bad. What a line, Eric.
It's dope.
Good job right there, man.
It very much is dope.
Because, to me, in a situation where things, you probably know this from personal experience too. Where there's no declaration of like what the hell we are and how we are going to present ourselves to everybody that we encounter when we come into public, things get very, very messy.
Yeah.
Because even in that scene, Jenna mentions to him, why'd you introduce me as that? Like I was a colleague.
The coworker.
Or why, like I was a friend.
Yeah.
Or we was chilling. And Eric's kind of caught off guard, like,
how was I supposed to introduce you as?
how was I supposed to do my girlfriend?
The
Are you willing to take that title and tell everybody else that you're my girlfriend?
Said the woman I love and married. She was like, yeah, that's a good start. And he was like, what?
Come on, son. Whenever you don't have that declaration of like what exactly we are, it brings up so many murky areas in the swamp of like, yo, I really don't know how to refer to you in public, and you won't get offended if I just say, this my homie.
It's funny as hell. So many ways you can tie that in and move that to like social media and everything now. What's one of the most common things used now? I ain't posting nobody unless they're my man or I'm married.
Yeah.
Right? But on the other hand, you want him to post you.
Why you don't ever post me?
I understand. I understand the thought process of it. I don't want to sit here and be cynical and poo-poo the whole idea. Just be like, hey, y'all motherfuckers. I get it. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Like, I'm doing that. And this is not a case in tick for tat, but it's like, it's fair, right? Like, I don't want to post somebody because I don't want to be out here looking stupid. All right, so you want me to post you? And there's a dude, meanwhile, just looking like, that's not how that face looked last night. Like, what? Come on, y'all. Come on, fam.
So what's awkward is, or what got awkward was, you know, they had that little situation in the park. They had a little bit of falling out. They wasn't contacting each other after that right away.
No.
So she's reaching out to Eric, you know, wasn't responding to the phone calls or whatever. And on her way back to her apartment one night, guess who shows up at her doorstep?
Who?
Her ex, Brian. He unfortunately had just lost his mom. He was grieving. I'm sure since him and Jenna was together for 10 years, she probably had a relationship with his mother as well. So she probably felt some type of way about that as well. So he felt like a safe space for him to grieve and kind of like get himself together would be with Jenna. And he was in a bad way. He was drunk. He was drinking. He needed to get his way home. So Jenna volunteered to drive him to his place. But in the midst of going back to his crib or being outside of her apartment, Eric was walking up, coming to see Jenna, and he saw her hugging and consoling and hopping in the car with her ex. So he felt some type of way about that whole interaction as well. Come to find out that in the midst of doing all that, Jenna was just being a supportive person and stuff like that. And yeah, dealing with the exes when they pop up. We live in a society now where there's a lot of coworker relationships. So when people break up, a lot of times you still got to work with them. And if you get into another relationship, guess what? Y'all all work together.
That's why I'm right from such nonsense.
Whatever. So statistics say you're lying. So do you feel who do you feel handled the situation worse as far as dealing with the idea of the ex being in close proximity with your current romantic interest? Jenna, in regards to how Eric dealt with his ex in the park, or Eric in regards to how Jenna dealt with her grieving ex outside her apartment?
I'm honestly going to say Eric.
Eric dealt with it worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, at least with Jenna, even though she was out of line and out of pocket, she confronted and got answers.
Yeah.
He literally saw it, said nothing of it, and called it what it was. And it's like, fine, I can live with being wrong and assume something. That's fine. But I can't live with seeing something and then just walking off and assuming from there. Like, if I have a preordained decision or a preordained assumption and I come to you, I might be tripping. But if you set me straight, I have time to sit on that and I have time to look at it like, you know what, you're right. Rather than me looking at something and being like, oh, that's what it is. And then Goshia's, that was a very immature response.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. The question to me would be like, okay, yeah, it was him. Given if I was in Eric's shoes, would I have like a natural reaction the same way he did? I would.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was presented with the facts, I would say that I think that I would be understanding to that situation. Because if you just came out of a 10-year relationship with somebody and they lost their mom, I'm going to go under the assumption that you probably had a relationship with the mom too.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to be grieving yourself. And the fact that y'all could find yourselves grieving together over that, like it ain't like a brother, it ain't like a cousin, it ain't like a friend. It's like Mom Dukes. I can understand how you might feel the need to be there for that person in that moment. So I wouldn't really be too upset at that.
No.
Given the fact that he might have been like hypersensitive to whatever was going on with Jenna at that point, given what happened to them at the park.
Yeah.
So I understand like how, that situation might have played out. But I can see how he might have been in a situation where you're like, man, fuck Jenna right now. I ain't fucking with you. You just did that. That shit just happened in the park, and the next time I see you, you just with a guy. I don't know anything further than what that happened. So he probably shouldn't have put himself in a situation where he wasn't answering the phone anyway, because he was trying to keep the lines of communication open. That's why communication is so important. But yeah, it turned out not to be that big of a consequence as most stuff in this movie wasn't anyway. So we fast forward to our next and last big chapter of the movie.
Yeah.
Which was
This is weird.
after some time apart and a pause on our romantic tryst.
After the mom finds out.
Yes. So Jenna's boss, Eric's mother, finds out that they're having a relationship. She finds out in the best way possible.
How?
Eric was on his knees in the living room on the couch, serving Jenna the best head she ever had in her life, in the most awkward position I've ever seen in my goddamn life.
Yeah.
As a man of that cloth.
You were about to pay. You were about to give yourself a title.
I was.
I felt that
I
shit
was.
coming.
As a knight of that order, I would say that that's not a good position to be serving a woman in, to be munching that.
Yeah, that was a little.
She walks in on him in her house.
Yeah, that's
What the hell was y'all thinking? And it didn't dawn on me until my second watch, when I was just skimming through the movie. I didn't realize that Eric still lived at home with his mother, dude.
Yeah.
It didn't dawn on me until Eric's mom hit him with the line, "Go to your room."
Oh yeah, that was a wild one. I was like, ooh,
Jenna, what is you doing?
yuck.
You fell in love with a dude that still live at his home with his mother, and you in your 40s?
Scooby-Doo and blankets.
What the fuck is going on? And when she said go to your room, he had nothing to say.
I thought he was gonna go. He stayed.
He stayed.
That was way worse.
I didn't dismiss you yet, sir.
That was way worse. I would have went to my home.
But anywho, he was duffing out, so Jenna's boss finds out, Eric's mom found out. Anyway, so fast forward, in their romantic entanglement, somehow, some way, whether protection failed or protection wasn't used, because it's 2023 and most people ain't. Jenna, you're gonna be a mom. Jenna got pregnant.
That's,
Your ego is prego, fertile myrtle. So, yeah, Jenna gets pregnant, and she invites Eric down to this little eatery or wine shop or whatever it is. I hope it's not the same wine shop from Godfrey.
that
Godfrey's wine
it
shop.
actually does look like the same one.
You know what? That might be a little. Did you know that Jenna revealed her pregnancy to Eric inside Godfrey's wine shop at the Arfay? Yeah, she puts a little sonogram on the table. Hey, I'm pregnant.
Oh, congratulations, it's ours.
You're gonna be a dad.
What?
I wasn't smashing nobody else. Eric's response to this information was very alarming to me as a man.
All
I
right,
didn't
so,
like it.
All right. So wait, Wait. Let's keep it in context.
Let's keep it in context.
You also have to keep into consideration the age of this young man.
Yeah.
So
early 20s.
When I put in context in that regard, I can see that. Now, am I excusing it? No. But can I see a reaction like that? 20s? Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. That's a little bit wild. But it's also it's also before the age of quote unquote responsibility. And we got into this off cam and off mic. The difference between a mature adult and a responsible adult.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are certain things that, even though they seem very similar, and a lot of people, in my opinion, as well as yours, misconstrue the differences. There's a difference between a mature adult and a responsible adult.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Throughout this movie, Eric was pretty mature. He seemed pretty mature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's only until responsibility needs to be taken
Right.
that you see, like, oh yeah, your age just jumped all the way out of your pocket. I see.
See, that's the thing I always say too about love. Anyway, you can get into all these situations where you find yourself vibing with somebody, being attracted to them, being completely drawn to somebody, and then you'll call it love, but love is only a theory until it's tested.
Ooh.
So, like, if Eric really loved Jenna, I don't care like how old you are, your response would have been like to try to deflect what was going on there. His response was in the lines of like, "Oh, did my mother put you up to this? What the fuck is you telling me right now? What is this?"
Yeah, it's very crazy.
And it was no level of accepting of accountability of this particular part. There was no question of like, how do you feel about what's going on? What are we going to do? What is the plans? It was all in selfish tone.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't expecting this. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, you gonna bring this news on me like this? And Jenna is completely taken back. Like, yo, I'm just letting you know. I clearly get the vibe of like where you trying to go with this shit. I don't need no help from you. I'm just letting you know that you finna be a dad. Excuse me, you finna be a father. He ain't gonna be no dad, obviously.
Yeah.
But his response was very, very, very immature. And I find it very surprising that his response was like that, given the fact that he didn't have a relationship with his father. Or he lost his father. So it's sort of like you would think at some point, even if you wasn't ready to step up and be a man in that particular situation, that you would at least conduct yourself in a situation that was like, I'm going to be respectful to the fact that, like, you know, you would think that he would be respectful to the fact that this is somebody that you fell in love with and that you love, and that, especially given her age and what she wanted in her previous relationship, that you think that you would be more understanding and comforting to this news to somebody who had their previous relationship, this be a major reason why it didn't work out in the first place. And I just kind of felt like he missed the opportunity to be supportive, even if he necessarily was caught off guard and not necessarily excited about said news.
Yeah. But it's also like you mentioned to before, like the responsibility versus the maturity, right? We've all done things in our lifetime where, you know, there are moments when you look back and you say you could have handled this differently, or you could have handled that differently. And I feel like even though in that moment he handled it very poorly, as we'll get to in a brief second of how he ended up handling it, I mean, one can look at it and not be completely satisfied with the result, as I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And, you know, ironically, I do take solace in the movie playing out more so how realistically things play out, where it's not exactly a happy ending. I wouldn't exactly stamp and call it like, oh yeah, this is a happy ending, this is great. But it's more so like, all right, this is the way it should have ended. Cool. I mean, both parties made mistakes along the way. I'm happy they're at least trying to figure it out, rather than it going the way that it was, projected to go.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think when it was all said and done, the best case scenario for the situation at hand played out.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say responsibility wound up being the king of the day.
Yeah. Okay.
So, The Perfect Find, Netflix. Got to give it a score. Let's start this thing, man.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me. You first.
Okay.
Your name was on the letterhead first.
Like I did say, I said that I enjoyed this movie more than most upon watching it the first time.
You did.
My number that I initially had, it dropped a little bit, I'm not going to lie. So if I had to score this movie out of 10, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Wow.
For The Perfect Find.
Okay. See, I don't really feel bad about my mother anymore. As we talked about off screen, I told you I had to find my way.
Yeah,
because it was low.
You also mentioned that you don't like Gabrielle Union. But go ahead.
All right, let's not make it personal. All right, I just can't think of a good movie she's been in. She's started, but I mean, you can debate that. You can leave in the comments. You want more? I'm with it.
If you know a good Gabrielle Union film, please.
That she co-starred in or starred in. Let's not get into these cameos. Let's not do that.
Inbox us on Instagram. Tell us.
Dude, I got a 5.5.
5.5. Okay. All right. No. It wasn't awful.
It's background. It's background movie.
Yeah.
You gotta clean the house. It's great. You pay attention to it one time.
Mm-hmm.
You get the gist of it. Clean the house.
Soundtrack was a 10.
Yeah.
Soundtrack was definitely a 10.
Yeah, you can get that.
I'm going to give it an extra 0.2. Bust it up to a 6.7 on the fact that a Newark establishment made a cameo in the film, the Brown Mill Company, clothing company. They played a cameo in the film, that particular part where they had Remy Ma come out and they had the girls doing double dutch. They was all wearing Brown Mill Company clothing. So I give it some respect there as well. And Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade have both been supported of the Brown Mill Company. So keep doing y'all thing as well. That's going to be a wrap for today's show. Those of you who made it to the end of the episode and thugged out some kind of shoddy audio on our end. We had some technical difficulties. We appreciate you sticking around. We'll make sure that we'll fix it going forward. But we're going to continue on our journey and continue to get better. I have an interesting idea for the next movie/TV show that we can do. And it's also on Netflix. And I'm really excited about doing this. So I hope that when I bring it to the table that you'll be interested in doing this shit too. But I saw it this morning and I was like, oh, me and Noah definitely got to do this movie right quick.
I'm intrigued.
Okay.
Definitely talking about it.
So till the next time, folks, make sure you hit us up, Mondo Matters Podcast at gmail.com with any interview requests or interview spots. Maybe you might want to come on the show, talk shop with us. We always looking for people to talk to, and we can conduct interviews whatever way it seems fit for you and us. We plan on being on a regular schedule of releasing our episodes on Mondays. Mondo Matters on Instagram is the best place to reach us if you want a quick response. Make sure you comment on whatever post that we put out there. Make sure you follow. Hit our inbox if you have any suggestions. Hear anything in the show that you disagree with or agree with. If you see us comment on any posts or disagree with any of our reactions or anything like that, hit us up, man. We are open to the people. And we are a show for the people. Your favorite podcast.
Yeah.
So until next time, signing out. For my brother Nove, I am J Optics. Stay classy, stay safe, but stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous.
Peace.